here, this is a blog post. It's not an announcement. It's just a blog that goes through basically how like some of our engineers at Databricks they improved basically the quality of the output of their LLM output. And that's an LLM that, does all the AI generated table comments, table descriptions that you can see when you leverage Databricks IQ on Databricks. And so basically here, what I like with this blog is that they just go through like the whole process that they followed in order like to improve it. And it's pretty cool what they did. So yeah, basically here they just talk about the AI generated comments. So if you haven't used them, really try to use them. If you have Unity Catalog, basically it's just generating metadata for you. And I mean, this is a very thankless job, write that, but it's so crucial in order to facilitate data discovery.
And so one of the best features of Databricks at this point,
exactly.
Honestly. And for people who have so many tables with no metadata, who is going to start going through them and writing descriptions for columns and tables, right?
Exactly.
So it does that for you mainly.
Yeah, I really like this feature. And also, like, they had a previous blog that I need to read about how it took them actually only 2 engineers and 1 month to train a bespoke LLM to tackle like this problem. But now basically they just wanted to improve this process. So previously they used an MPT-7B model, 3,000 synthesized examples, etc. And so here they just talk about how they managed to improve the training data. And so here what they did is that they use Mixtral to basically generate some create table statements, and then use the same model again to generate the table descriptions, column comments for each of the generated schema. And so they managed to create 9,000 training samples in just under 2 hours. And so because it's a problem sometimes to have the right training data, that's a trick that's good to remember, just use an LLM in order to generate some training data. And then they just talk about how they did that and the tips to be tips and tricks when you do this. I like this one that, for example, during generation they presented few shots examples in a chat format so that they could teach Mixtral the desired output formats. So yeah, that's a technique that's good to bear in mind when using that.
When you're going through your prompt engineering, can you see that the LLM cannot get or create the output in the format you need? Then the few-shot learning is a great way to go with it, right? So just go through your prompt and present 2-3 examples of the input and the desired output, explaining very well the exact output format you want. Do you want to be a Python dictionary? Do you want to be a JSON? How are all the keys and what is the values of those? One is this, and then we should say that they used Mixtral here because apparently at that point in time, Mixtral was kind of outperforming the MPT one in this specific task, right?
Yeah.
So
well, they
always
both
go for the best model, I guess.
Yeah, and they used open source, which is pretty cool. And so next, what they did is that even with the few shot examples, etc., sometimes the output was not exactly what they were looking for. And so what they did was to add some filters. And so here they explain a bit more about how they did that. And so basically having those heuristic filters, which is based basically on their experience. And I guess here you need a human to look at this.
Again, to say here that the training data set is the biggest and the most important thing if you want to have a fine-tuned model or a pre-trained model that makes sense.
Yeah.
So never underestimate.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, they said after this process, they were left with about 7,000 of their original 9,000 samples, which is still quite good in my opinion. Then they talk about fine tuning. That's what you mentioned just now, that they decided to opt for Mistral 7B over MPT-7B because it was at the time the highest ranking 7B parameter model. And so then also what's interesting is that how they go about evaluation, which is honestly like a big
question
in Gen AI at the moment, a question that people raise a lot. So basically, here what they did is that they sampled 500 of the most used tables in that Databricks workspace to form an evaluation set that is representative of actual usage. And so here they generated table description with the previous model, so MPT model, and then the new model over those like 500 tables. And so here, because it would be expensive to have humans annotate 500 samples, what's really cool is that here they used another LLM to evaluate the output of those two LLMs and basically judge like which one was best.
You may hear this as LLM as a judge.
Yeah.
And also the question, why on earth would you use an LLM to evaluate the answers of different LLMs? And the answer to that is you don't have anything better to do at this point in time. Or you do it manually, which is expensive.
Yeah, but it is expensive to have like human annotators to review it, etc. Exactly. So if you don't have the manpower to do it, it's a cool thing to do. And here I like that they also talk about a few things, notable features of their automated evaluation that they would like to highlight. So rather than requiring the model to pick the best among two outputs, they allowed ties. And so that improved things apparently. And then it was good also that the model was required to provide an explanation behind its answer. I think that's good because then you can really try and judge how it's judged it. So from a evaluation perspective.
Excellent. Because you have the evaluation and then the reasoning behind the evaluation for its answer. Great. Yeah. Great idea.
And then, that they generated multiple ratings for each sample and chose the final rating using a majority vote, which is pretty cool. And then they just deployed the new LLM via Databricks optimized LLM serving. So a lot of cool learnings, and it's great that they're sharing like how their journey was, because I think a lot of people could leverage some of those techniques in their projects.
Yes, for sure. Like the few shot learning and the different tricks on the evaluation are a lot of questions that I get. So I guess people would like to know that.